I love the science of the make-believe. I'm very happy to do anything that's not normal.
Spank me.
We had the most amazing group of technical people you could probably assemble under one roof.
We started slapping that stuff on, and all of a sudden, you know, things started happening, and the next thing you know, the freaking character was born.
Half your face is purple. Half of it's made out of latex. It may look just exactly like you, but it becomes an instrument of illusion.
I think Joel wanted these films to be lighthearted and more like the comic book and very colorful and very upbeat and very broad, which was a totally different approach than Tim had.
I think what the studio was looking for was something maybe a bit more, almost like MTV-like in a way, if that makes sense to you. Something maybe a little edgier, a little more hip and interesting, so that you might draw a younger audience into it. When Joel came in, and he, you know, seemed to have a feeling for how to do that.
Joel is very flamboyant himself and is very much into the production design end of it, the costume design. He's done all these things himself, besides being a director. So he's really in tune with all the artistic flair of a film. So he's a really good director to work with in that he allows you to get crazy and do wild things and be, you know, just off the wall.
Bob Ringwood was the designer. He did the illustrations and worked with a couple of illustrators upstairs and gave us a really good idea of what he wanted it to look like. We just had to make that interpret it into a 3D. Dave Murch was from England, was on the other show, and he dresses, so he has the whole mindset of how is this going to work as dressing on a daily basis, how is this going to work on a stunt guy, and I'm more of an engineer.
Everyone wants the cape to articulate. They want to see it blowing in the breeze. Everyone says, how do we make the suit with the cape blow in the breeze? And that's very difficult to do that with flat latex. You'd have to have more than a fan to do that.
We took what had been done for the original one and looked at it. It was originally a corset that was underneath a really hard foam suit. And we wanted to make something sleeker and something closer fitting to the body, and also something that where the hood came down, it integrated into the cape, so you couldn't really see where it ended and disappeared. It was a pretty big leap from to the Val Kilmer from the original Michael Keaton costume. We also engineered a bunch of different kinds of costumes, like one for sitting in the car so that he didn't have to wear everything to just do the close-ups. We put ventilation in the back of the suits if the back part wasn't going to be seen, so that he could be cooler. And then we had to do boots with lead plates in the soles so that the feet would sink when they were in the water, because otherwise they just bob like a cork.
Nobody enjoyed wearing them, quite honestly, because in what's to enjoy, and what actor really wants to be covered up completely and only show his eyes and his mouth? Nobody that I know.
Val Kilmer had a much more statuesque figure. That was his biggest contribution for us. It just was much easier for someone who was over 6 foot and thinner to make the suit look good, to be statuesque.
I knew it was like something, and it just wouldn't come to me what it was. And one day I realized, in one magical moment, it's like being old. No one talks back to you when you're talking. You can't hear. You can't go to the bathroom. It's a long list of things that you can't do anymore when you're in the bat suit. But it looks good.
I need a name. Batboy, Nightwing. I don't know, what do you think? What's a good sidekick name?
And the Robin costume is based on Errol Flynn's costume for Robin of Sherwood, which is the year Robin was introduced into the comics. But then to take that rather showbizy, rather garish costume in primary colors and to render it in that beautiful metallic, luminescent finish in those muted tones was just stunning.
It was basically the same technology. The only thing that's really different is the size of the suit and the color when it was painted at the end. So it went through the same track, through the same people, through the same hands. It was just, you know, on different body forms.
Joel really wanted the Robin character to be a heartthrob for the young teenage girls, obviously. So Chris was not really used to being kind of like as edgy as we wanted to make him. So, I mean, I had him get his ear pierced so he wore an earring because we didn't want to put a phony one on him because it just looked too cheesy. You know, I had him with a little bit of, you know, dark eye makeup on, and we gave him that really cute, you know, edgy little haircut. And I think he came off really cute, and I think he was quite a heartthrob, you know, with his black leather jacket and the whole, you know, shebang.
Let me try. Let me try.
Ball the fist.
Line up the fist.
Reach way back.
Reach way back.
Search yourself.
Ow!
Jim Carrey's Riddler costume was kind of fun. We had a big flat cutout shape body that we would shove into the leotard and with all the question marks marked on it. So, and then put that whole thing through the heat press machine so all the question marks would come out in the same place. Because we had lots of them. There were maybe like 50 of these green tights to get them all to come out in the exact same place.
I went through at least 100 canes. You know, just snapping them in two, breaking them over my shoulder, breaking them on my elbow. And I just walked around with it for ages, breaking cabinets and taking chunks out of the ceiling and just everywhere. You know, and they're heavy. They're monster things. I mean, it's like a shillelagh.
Jim Carrey's character went through quite a transition during the film, and his makeup, Cheryl Patak, did a wonderful job of designing all these different looks for him as he transformed. When he got into the actual painted like character with the orange hair, I pretty much designed that look for Jim, and she and I worked it out, and I explained to her what I would like to see, and we kind of worked on that together.
Has anybody ever told you you have a serious impulse control problem?
We were very lucky that Jim wanted to play this role. His makeup is very complex. The wig, the mask, the suit. He couldn't eat a thing the whole movie. He had to work out and watch because the Riddler suit is the kind of suit that you can't gain 1 ounce.
There was a lot of experimenting visually with the Riddler face, with my complexion color, with, you know, everything. And we finally, you know, settled on David Bowie and Spiders from Mars.
I'm Bruce Wayne, miss.
Oh, you can call me anything you want.
When Two-Face's girlfriends worked, they really wanted myself and Cheryl to do them. And that meant the girls coming in at 4 in the morning, and they would come in at 4 in the morning, we would do their makeup, and then they would sit around while we did the guys, which was another 2 hours or something. So that kind of made for real short turnarounds, and they were pretty gracious about it. I mean, we would have fun. We'd put on the music at 4 in the morning and sing and dance and try to be awake. And
my waist was shrunken down to 18 inches. This is before I had babies. And I was in like 6-inch heels the whole time. So I had to use a slant board to, like, you know, take a break. Slant board is a piece of wood that they used a lot in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s when they made those movies with big costumes, so the actress could relax without like bending or taking her shoes off.
Let's see what justice has in store for you.
I contacted Rick Baker, who is a brilliant special effects makeup wizard, and I said, Rick, what do you think about Tommy Lee to play Harvey Two-Face? He said, that's perfect. So Rick got a picture of Tommy Lee, did all the work in the computer on, in those days it was probably Noah's Ark computer graphics, but it looked brilliant.
The Two-Face makeup was basically a prosthetic that just was a weird kind of psychedelic burn makeup that covered half of Tommy Lee Jones's face. And then, of course, his wardrobe was divided in half, too, for his split personality.
that makeup was designed by Rick Baker. I applied it every day. You know, Rick brought the makeup to me. It showed me how it was going to be. We did a little tweaking in it, simply because when we first see Harvey's Two-Face character, he's shot in a lot of red light, so he kind of just disappeared.
We built this makeup job, and we did it little building block by building block by building block. The novelty was meant to be experienced by the audience, not by me.
The first piece was, the head piece was glued onto a vacuum form plate, which we actually glued Tommy's hair down, and then the actual glue that we used in his hair, which is called gaffquat, stuck the helmet piece on. And from there, we glued all the other pieces onto it. I think there was 5 pieces.
The part of Harvey Two-Face started out taking 4 hours for makeup, and we smoothed the process out over time that ultimately wound up taking about 2 hours.
You know, it's not going to be an hour makeup job this time, Tommy. It's going to be a long time. And he goes, that's all right, I can be bought. And I said, okay, I'm going to remember that.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Batman.
There were so many other makeups in this movie, and so many big gang scenes and different groups of people. We had a scene in an alley where Robin steals a car and takes off and winds up in this alley that's all day glow. Well, all the characters that come out of these walls and the rooms and the windows and down the things all had to be done in these really wild day glow paint makeups. Well, a lot of the stuff didn't show up unless it was in black light, like the alley was lit. So what we did was we had black lights installed in the makeup trailer, and we would turn them on and off so we could read the makeups to see what we were doing. So that was kind of a fun and new thing that I had never done before, and I don't know that anybody else working on the film had ever done it either.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the greatest show on earth.
I just thought, wow, this is going to be wonderful. I mean, circus, this everything. Guys in full body makeup, gold drummers, and we had to develop all these different types of body makeup so that they wouldn't get sick because they were painted from head to toe, and people were having problems because they were covered in gold dust, and we had a lot of crazy things going on. We had so many people working to get all those characters ready, all the clowns and the drummers and my gosh, I don't even remember all the characters we had, but we were quite busy for that circus scene.
Why can't you just die?
I think at one point there were 146 people just in the costume department that were making all kinds of different things. You would throw an idea out there, throw a concept out to these people, and you would get any number of different ways that you could have what you want thrown back at you, which is, really unheard of anymore.
Bob Ringwood is the best designer to work for. He is incredibly creative. He knows how to pick people who know how to do what they do, and he gives them an idea, says, this is what I want. He gives you a really specific illustration that you know exactly what the costume is supposed to look like, and he comes and talks to you, and then he goes away and lets you do it.
I really feel that entertainment and lighthearted, fun movies are a lot more enjoyable, obviously, to go see than, a heavy drama. I sort of think that's sort of the kid in me is just perpetual. My mother used to always say to me, my poor baby thinks every day is Halloween, and I think she was right, because it seems like almost every film I do involves doing something make-believe, which that's not bad.